What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to Thursday night's late night agenda. I know Arsenal are underway as we speak. I think they're just kicking off in the second half. So please feel free to keep me up to date with what is going on there at the Brentford Stadium. So, ladies and gents, I hope we're all well. Kaz, just seen this as I was logging in. Good morning over in Australia to Kaz. Hope all is well and happy. Great to be part of AA. Great to have you, Kaz, and thank you so much for your continued support. Look, it's a bit of a mixed bag today. We're going to talk about Ibrahim KONATE and his future. We're going to talk about the links for Richard Hughes with a move over to AL-HILAL in the Saudi Pro League. We're going to ask, is there any truth to that? We'll have a little chat around Florian Wirtz and, of course, anything else that you guys would like to discuss. I like these quiet evenings because it gives us a chance to really get stuck into a little bit of more personal chat. So, have at it. Let me know in the comments what it is you'd like to discuss. We have our first poll of the night up and running at the minute. We're asking, are you confident or do you think that Ibrahim KONATE will sign a new deal with Liverpool Football Club? The reason I ask is just because of a couple of comments from Virgil van Dijk and a post from James Pearce. So let me first walk you through what Big Virg had to say about the contract situation for KONATE and, of course, his own contract negotiation last year. So this is what Virg had to say about wanting KONATE to stay. It's a process, and let's see what comes out of it. Obviously, I want him to stay. He's an important figure on the pitch. That's what everybody sees off the pitch as well. He's one of the leaders. He's an outstanding player, and in my eyes, a world-class centre-back. I can do only so much, but it's in the club's hands, together with his agent and himself. So let's see what comes out of it. But I have no influence otherwise on that. It was not my decision to leave my contract that late, but it is what it is. There always is hope for KONATE staying. And that was followed up with James Pearce post to say the Anfield hierarchy haven't given up hope of KONATE signing an extension. They point to how Virgil van Dijk and Salah didn't agree fresh terms until April last season as when their contracts were running down. Now, interesting that, and myself and Connor perceived Virgil's comments differently. I want to know what you thought about the line in Virgil's that said, it wasn't my decision to leave my contract that late. It's one that as soon as I read it, my eyes kind of opened up and I went, is this an intentional tactic from the club? Why was it left that late for Virgil? You know, we'd all obviously thought it was maybe just a numerical thing between Virgil, the club, Mohamed Salah around wages. But if it's the same situation with Ibrahim KONATE, is this perhaps a negotiating tactic that Liverpool use, or is there some sense to it that I'm not seeing? Because I think it's a dangerous game, letting players get into these late parts of their contracts. Of course, like Virgil, hope KONATE stays, but really don't know what's going on there. So, what are we saying in the chat then? Sincerely thinking my above comment. So Toby's comment, I think, was, do we all agree that Ibrahim KONATE is, I think, basically trying his best or doing his best? And absolutely. There's no denying what he'd been through with his father was extremely difficult. And I still don't know if this was an ongoing issue for his dad or if it was a sudden passing. But either way, since he's come back and in the last few games, he's been brilliant. And himself and Virgil last night were two colossus back there. Really, really, really impressive defensive display from both of them. Safe to say the Barcelona manager might get sacked. Are they? I see they were 3-0 down or something in the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey, if I'm not mistaken, to Atleti. That high line that Hansi Flick plays with is just it's a recipe for disaster, really. It's one that gives me heart attacks if Liverpool were playing with that high of a line. 4-0. Ooh, ouch. 4-0 now, Mark and Keane are saying. That's, yeah, that really is a bit of a whooping. So, yeah, that's not looking great there for them then. 4-0, my goodness. I mean, it's one thing getting knocked out of a cup competition, but to lose 4-0 or to be losing 4-0, yeah, that's definitely not a good look. Right, so do keep voting away on our poll. We'll leave that one up for you guys to have a say on. I want to get stuck into the situation with Richard Hughes in a little bit, but I'm going to wait for the Arsenal game to finish up so everybody can come in and we don't have to all repeat ourselves. So during this quiet one, let's just have a chat and see how you guys are feeling. Honestly, I love these quieter streams. It gives us a chance to really just get stuck into some things. So I was in the office today, and by office, of course, I mean toilet, because every man knows when we say we're in the office what we meant. And I was flicking through a little Liverpool book that I have. And in the book, I often find a few little facts and figures and a few bits that, just give you information on the club. And we've been talking quite a bit about quotes recently. And there was one that stood out to me from Bob Paisley, and it said, "I've been here during the bad times too. One year we finished second." And it kind of made me chuckle a little bit, because I know it was a tongue-in-cheek joke from Bob Paisley, but, that is the standard of this football club. That is why Liverpool Football Club exists, to win stuff. So, even jokingly there saying, there was here in the bad times as well. One year we finished second. That's where the standards were. So the revisionism this season, like I said, I understand it. You naturally have to revise the season goals as the season goes on, because there's no point sitting here saying the goal is still to win the Premier League this season when we know we're not going to do that. So I understand revisionism to a certain extent, but what I don't understand, or what I refuse to acknowledge, is that this is acceptable to be in 5th, 6th, around that area. Like, that's not what the aim was at the start of the season. So the revisionism, I'm finding a little bit tough to take. Happy Friday, Craig. Did win the lotto, so off to work. It's Thursday, isn't it? Oh, don't be frightening me. It is Thursday, right? Because I know tomorrow's Friday the 13th. So, yeah, today's definitely Thursday, Jimbo. But I hope safe travels to work, mate, and I hope the shift passes as quickly for you as possible. But thank you, man, for being with us for 10 months as well. I didn't win the lotto either, but I don't play the lotto, so yeah, that's probably why. I'm one of these people that if I play the lotto once and don't win it, that's it. I'm done with it. So yeah, I avoid it. Also, money burns a hole in my pocket, so I don't want millions. I wouldn't. Well, I'd find a way to spend it, but it'd be pissed up against the wall. I'm terrible. There's a reason why Connor's in charge of the Anfield Agenda finances. Right. Apparently he's wanting 225k plus bonus, said Conrad. So, I don't think he's worth that much, Conrad. But 200 grand a week, I could just about live with for KONATE at the minute. Now, here's my thought process. I can understand why KONATE maybe wants to become the senior centre-back of the club and become the leader. But I think he's maybe, for me, one contract away from the big money that the likes of a Virgil van Dijk would get. I think, for his next Liverpool contract, if he stayed, so let's say he signed a 4-year deal, in 2 years when you're extending that, that's when I would say that would be the time then to maybe give him the big money, the 250 upwards. But now, look, the club will have to make a decision on what they think is good business. And would I like KONATE to stay? Yes. I've had issues with him this season. I've jokingly called him Coco the Clown, but, on his day, we know what a good defender he can be. And he's been part of a Liverpool team that have won stuff recently. So, in an ideal world, having himself, Jeremy Jacquet coming in, at least one more year then with Virgil van Dijk, young Giovanni Leone coming through, and maybe one more addition in the summer, because I believe Gomez will likely move on. I wouldn't be against that one bit. Leona said, I think something's going to happen tomorrow. Hopefully it just doesn't jinx my exam. Oh yes, because it's Friday the 13th, isn't it? It's also Valentine's this weekend as well. So anybody out there who's in a relationship and still feels the need to impress the other half, don't forget. How old is KONATE? I think he's 26, if I'm not mistaken, Dave. I think he's 26, so that's what I'm saying. Like, next contract, 28. That's big money for me. Because we're talking about a centre-back here. And centre-backs can go on a little bit longer and they can, peak. 28's probably a peak for a centre-back. So that's why I think give him a big bump. But he'd be going from, 85 now? I think he's on roughly, to whatever the next would be. But here's the kicker for me, and this is what I keep coming back to. Where else is he going to go for better circumstances? And what I mean by that is he could go to Real Madrid, perhaps, or not. They look like they're looking in the other direction. Maybe the likes of Nico Schlotterbeck has been mentioned at Real Madrid. So where else is KONATE going to go? Where, one, he'd have the affection that he has from the Liverpool fans. Two, he'd be challenging for top-level prizes all the time. And he's a mainstay in the team. So I just don't understand. If he wants to go to Paris or something, I genuinely would understand PSG as that's, his hometown club. But outside of PSG, and I've not really seen too much to link him there, I don't understand why he wouldn't want to be here. Bayern, we're a bigger club than Bayern. Like, let's be honest about it, we are. Bayern's a huge club, and they've been a really successful club over the years, but the Premier League's where it's at. The Premier League's the best league in the world. And yes, you go to Bayern Munich, you're bound to win the Bundesliga, and you probably win a couple of DFB Pokals and a few other trophies, but it's Liverpool Football Club. And I know I'm biased because I'm a Liverpool fan, but it's, it's Liverpool. And maybe Upamecano extends there at Bayern anyway, so if he does, will they even have a desire to go and bring him in? He's going to certainly have plenty of choices, as an experienced centre-back inside the last few months of his deal now. I'm sure there's no shortage of offers going to be coming in for him. Adam Cooper said, I posted a Valentine's gift for you and Connor today. I don't know whether to be worried or... thank you. I don't really do Valentine's, to be honest with you. It's never been one I bought into. I'm romantic all the year round, Adam. But thank you, man, for being with us for 22 months as well. Nearly 2 years as a member with us, Adam. Thank you. Upamecano, did he sign a new deal? Sorry, I didn't realise he'd already signed that new deal. I knew there was a breakthrough in the negotiations with Upamecano, but I wasn't aware that he'd actually signed it. My apologies. So, if he has, well then, there you go. Are they wanting to get back together for the old RB Leipzig days again? Because remember, KONATE's already had a spell in the Bundesliga. So, look, I'm biased, as I keep saying. Liverpool Football Club's the be-all and end-all to me. So, I'll refuse to acknowledge anybody being a bigger club. Hey, Craig, surprised Rio had to sit on a stool yesterday, said Jaden. It would have been nice to see him get some minutes, Jaden, wouldn't it? It would have been. Like, Chiesa got the usual few minutes at the end of the game, but at some point we're going to have to really do something in a proactive sense with Rio Engamoa, because you can't just keep delaying. He's got to get minutes, and the club have a decision to make this summer in particular about what they do. Do they loan him out somewhere to get him first team football, or do we keep this not blocking the pathway line going, not sign anybody, and then see maybe a few more minutes from next season? It's a difficult one, but ultimately we're doing ourselves no favours here by not having multiple options on the left-hand side. Again, you could probably make the same argument on the right-hand side as well, with Salah there and technically Federico Chiesa as an option, but we've not really seen him getting the opportunities under Arne either. Keane said, I'll concede Madrid is a bigger club, but they're a bunch of Madonnas, or pre-Madonnas anyway. Yeah, they're a big club. But it's Madrid, I could understand the appeal of Madrid to some people. Yes, I can get that. But for as far as I'm aware, Madrid aren't in the mix for KONATE at the minute. At least that's what the reports over the last little bit have said. Can I sign my Liverpool by the cop? Feeling good. I don't know. I don't know what you're asking me to do there, Jade, mate. Sorry. Can I sign your Liverpool? I don't know what you mean. If you need me to sign that, no problem. If you need me to sing, not today, I have a sore throat, but... sack slot equals more minutes for Rio. You'd be proud of me today. Myself and Connor did a podcast earlier on together, and we didn't bring up sacking Arne Slot once throughout the entire podcast. He tried to get it in at one point, and I said, no, we need to, because I'm mindful that I've been talking a lot about it lately, about the manager's position, and I'm mindful of, being overly negative about it. My position hasn't changed on Arne, but, I don't want to come on here every day just talking about the same thing, banging that same drum over and over again, especially when we know at this point it definitely looks like he'll be getting this season come what may, and then we'll see what happens. Now, do I think he's going to pull a miracle out of his backside? Not really. But here's one for you. I would sit here and admit to you that if he wins the Champions League, you can't sack him. I just think that would be wholly unfair for a manager, even if I don't like the style of football, to win a Prem, then win the Champions League. So if he somehow managed to pull that out of his backside, I don't think you could sack him. But an FA Cup, what are we saying about that? Would an FA Cup be enough? Or not even just change the question a little bit. Would an FA Cup win count as a good season? Would it count as a positive season? Or where would you see it? Because for me, it would be okay, but not enough to really swing me one way or the other. It's the big competitions for me. It's got to be the Premier League and the Champions League. They're the one that you're measured by. And domestic cups, if they come along, brilliant. You'll certainly celebrate them, and a trophy's a trophy. But it wouldn't be enough for me to change my opinion, personally. Kev, how are you, bro? Said, proud to be a member. Keep it up, Craig and Connor. Thank you so much, Kev. Appreciate you being with us, man, for 9 months as well. We could have had a baby together in that time, Kev, mate. We could have had a baby together in that 9 months. Darwizzy said, I call it progression. Nope, only okay, said David Cornwell. FA Cup is definitely not enough considering we won the league and spent 400 odd million, said the meme guy. What manager's next for Forest? It's Pereira, Leona. It's done already. It's Vitor Pereira, the guy that used to manage Wolves. He's gone in and he's taken the job at Forest. Grim Reaper said, considering the state we've been in this season, domestic cups wouldn't be too bad, but be forgotten in the next 2-3 years. Need the Champions League to be somewhere worth it. So, I was talking about this with the pod with Connor, on the pod with Connor, and for me, an FA Cup with like a Champions League semi-final, and let's say we manage to get 3rd or 4th in the league. Okay, that'll get my attention. That will get my attention. A good long run, because the Champions League, I've always been open about this to say, I don't think it's a competition you can plan to win. You can hope to win it, but ultimately, you need a little bit of luck going your way, and it's a cup competition, so anything can happen. So a decent run in the Champions League, an FA Cup win, and maybe chasing down Villa in 3rd. Now, that would get my attention for the remainder of the season, if that was the case it was to be. And we will we'll run through the fixtures in a minute. People are saying Arsenal 1-0 up. Have they just scored? That's a big result. It's a big result if they can get that. The pressure's on them, obviously, with Manchester City chasing them down. So, do you know what? It annoys me, though. I should be sitting here now, and I should be glued to that Arsenal game, because it should have consequences for us. But unfortunately, it doesn't, because, well, all of the problems we've spoken about this season, really. Madueke, the guy that they didn't want, and they had a petition to tell the club to stop signing. Interesting. Somebody said, is the Vitor Pereira deal done? I think so. I read it on Sky earlier. Let me just double check for you now. I think it's done, but bear with me. Where is it? Yeah, it says Pereira agrees to replace Dyche Forest. Vitor Pereira has agreed to become the next Nottingham Forest head coach. Sky Sports News understands final details around the deal are being sorted, but it's almost certain the former Wolves boss will take over at the City ground. So yeah, it's looking very much like it will be Vitor Pereira. And on the fixtures, Liverpool's next 4 Premier League games, they look winnable. We've got Nottingham Forest away, we've got West Ham at home, Wolves away, and Spurs at home. So you would expect some good results from those 4 games. Of course, we've got the FA Cup game against Brighton this Saturday. Then we've 8 days to prepare for that Forest away game. Now, of course, they're going to have a new manager bounce by that point, which will, again, make this fixture a little bit more difficult. But looking at those fixtures, I mean, Aaron has got to be thinking 10 points minimum from those 4 games. Because after that, as somebody said last night, the situation with the end of the season, like May is crazy for us. We've got really, really tough run in May. So you'd kind of hope that we've got ourselves established inside the top 4 or 5 by the time May comes around, because, yeah, some tough fixtures in there. Has Endo broken his ankle? I don't have any update on Endo. Nothing that I'm aware of. I've seen Physio Scout, I think it was, saying it could be anywhere from 4 to 16 weeks based off guesstimations. But of course, that's what it is. It's a guesstimation. I just, for his sake, I just hope that he's able to play in the World Cup, that he's able to, represent his country, because this could be, probably would be his last World Cup at the age he's at. Goal disallowed for Barca, still 4-0. Whoopsies. Craig, all teams above us have harder games with some playing each other. Well, good, Christina. Hopefully that means, or Christine, excuse me, or it is Christina. My apologies. Hopefully that means we can put a run together, because if we don't do it during these 4 games, we're in trouble. We've got a chance now. This week we capitalised, and I'm delighted to be sitting here saying that. Delighted to be sitting here saying that yes, we capitalised on points being dropped by Manchester United and Chelsea, and now we're within striking distance. So we've got to keep our momentum going. And last night felt, I don't want to say it felt like a statement win, but it definitely felt like a statement from the players that they, come what may, last night they were getting a result. It just felt like there was a bit more steeliness about them last night, and a bit more focus, and a bit more of a determination that we are getting a result here. And it was a good result. 1-0 at Sunderland, the first team to go up to the Stadium of Light and win this season, with a good solid defensive performance. Now, I'm not saying everything's perfect, not by a long stretch, but nothing wrong with a clean sheet and a 1-0 away win. Should be happy about that. I get fed up after a good win. Some fans think Slot's the best manager again, but the same mistakes are there. Look, I'm not getting sucked into that, Stephen, into thinking everything's great and tickety-boo. Because there were some things last night that could have gone a different way. So there was a challenge from KONATE that it was the second movement of the challenge that he actually won the ball. And there was a couple of half chances. So yeah, I'm not sitting here saying that there still aren't things we could be doing better. But if we can start producing some more consistency defensively, we've definitely had a marked improvement defending set pieces in recent times. I mean, that was borne out by, I think it was Lewis Steele's post yesterday. Let me see if I still have it here. Keane sent it to me yesterday. So, where is it? Liverpool set pieces in 2026 so far. Scored 8, conceded 2. From August to New Year, we'd scored 8 and conceded 13. So certainly improving defending set pieces. Florian Wirtz also looks like he's really, really settling into the role now. And every game, a lot of the good attacking stuff that we have is going through Florian Wirtz. And last night was no different. Do you think Endo deserves another 2-year deal? No. I don't. I've got to be honest, mate. I love Endo. He's a really, really model professional. But let's be honest, is he going to be a difference maker for us? Not really. And especially if we're going to go out there and bring in another DM anyway. You've got him, then you've got still Gravenberch at the club. I just don't think there's space for Endo to get another deal. I think it would be a sentimental decision over a footballing decision. You'd already seen him questioning his own future earlier on in the season because, he's not getting a lot of game time and he wanted to make sure he got enough minutes to keep himself firmly in the mix for the Japan squad. So let's check in on our poll. It's a quiet one, so we'll leave it go a bit longer. We're asking, do you think KONATE signs a new deal at Liverpool Football Club? So, I'll move on, as I said, in a few minutes when the Arsenal game's heading to an end. We'll start talking about the Richard Hughes situation because I know a lot more people are going to come in after the Arsenal game. And we'll discuss the situation then. But here's one for you. So, has Mohamed Salah had a poor season? Or are we just measuring him against his own brilliance? And the reason I ask this is there was a post put up by an account called Goldside that said Mohamed Salah for Liverpool this season. 26 matches played, 6 goals scored, 7 assists. And some people were saying that shows he's fallen off. But then Carson, an account at WC_LFC_Torres, said he set the bar so high that these look terrible by comparison. He scored one less goal than Jack Grealish last season at Villa before City shelled out 100 million on him. Now, I think he's not having a good enough season. But in the last week or two, I've noticed he's getting better. For me, I've noticed Salah's starting to feel a bit more comfortable out there, and he's contributing a little bit more. And, you know, he's certainly only behind, I think, Bruno Fernandes for progressive passes or chance created or some statistic in and amongst that this season. So, look, I'd be a liar if I said I'm not disappointed with his numbers this season compared to previous seasons. But, you know, the reason I'm asking is because obviously everyone's going to have to make a decision in the summer, him included, on what the best way forward is. Whether that's him feeling he still has something to give in European football and wants to see out his contract with Liverpool, or whether he goes to the Saudi Pro League. For the first time ever, I'm wondering, is this going to be the time we lose Mo? Because I never felt, even when his contract had been run down, it was likely he left. I'd always believed he was going to stay. And I've said this many times, when he signed his new deal with us, I firmly believed he'd see out those 2 years. But this season hasn't gone as everybody would have hoped. He obviously had a bit of a disagreement with the playing time with Arna. We've seen that, how that played out. Went off to the AFCON, come back, and look, it's been pretty quiet on the Western Front over that since he's come back, which has been grand. But we don't know what way his head is, really. Like, does he still feel some resentment towards the situation? Does he feel like, you know, he was scapegoated somewhat? Because a happy Mohamed Salah is what we all want out there on the pitch. And the reason I bring it up is, if he is going to go in the summer, I don't want it to be a situation where we as Liverpool fans find out in like July that Mo is going to be heading off. Because I'm sure Liverpool fans, and the match-going fans in particular, would want to make sure Mo gets the send-off he deserves, and it not to be like an afterthought or a last-minute deal where we don't get to say goodbye. So that's why I'm asking, because, you know, I'd rather it be known before the end of the season so we can make sure as a fan base that we pay homage to the man that's been phenomenal. Got into a really interesting, I won't call it a debate with Connor, but a conversation around where Mohamed Salah ranks in the last 10 years of people who've really brought Liverpool to be Premier League title winners and another European Cup. Where would you rank him? Because we got stuck into the conversation and we were talking about Mohamed Salah, Alisson and Virgil being the three fulcrums, really, right through the spine of the team that kicked us on. Obviously, there was more great players in and around them, but they're the three for me that really have been the difference over the last 6, 7, 8 years. And for me, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a former goalkeeper, so I've always looked at it and said, well, I think bringing in a goalkeeper is, you know, of Alisson's calibre, or Virgil, has allowed us to be more defensively solid. And that was always our problem as a club. We always were graced with great goal scorers, and Salah's certainly right up there, pick of the bunch. But I'm still going to stick with Alisson for my decision of the most influential of the three. Now, everybody thinks differently, and I am biased as a former goalkeeper because I look at Alisson in awe, like Superman. Like, the dude is absolutely superhuman to me. So, again, I just thought it'd be an interesting talking point for us. Mo is definitely 1, 2 or 3 over the last 10 years. I agree, but where? But where, my friend? That's the question. Because it's a tough one. Because if you look back at the last 25 years of Liverpool, we've never been short of goal scorers of, you know, we've been blessed as Liverpool fans. Fernando Torres, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, Luis Suarez, Ian Rush. Goals have come. We've always had fantastic goal scorers. But we've really, really had a bit of a soft touch defensively. You know, in my time being a Liverpool fan, that we never quite had that steeliness or robustness to see through a title challenge. So for me, when we signed Van Dijk, Alisson, that was the real sign that we're going in the right direction. And of course, Mo coming in on top of that with the goals that he has been like the cherry on top of the cake. 1-1 in the Arsenal game. Interesting. Manchester City fans sitting up and taking notice now. 3 of them together out there somewhere. Definitely Alisson, like the 1-0 Napoli or the Barcelona 4-0 game. That's my thought process, yes. Is that, Virgil gave us that presence and that aura at the back. But Alisson, honestly, I thought when I seen Pepe Reina that was probably going to be the best Liverpool keeper I'd see in my lifetime. But Alisson Becker has just he's almost ruined goalkeeping for me, because I don't think I'll ever see a goalkeeper that I love as much. Obviously, there's been great goalkeepers. I mean, Manuel Neuer, absolutely fantastic. Iker Casillas, Gianluigi Buffon, great goalkeepers. Thibaut Courtois, but Alisson he's just hit different for me. When you think back through the moments as well for Alisson, his father passing away during the COVID time, and I'm not being able to go over to the funeral, but still then come and scoring that header for us against West Brom, and just moment after moment of just heroics. So I would put Alisson number one, personally. Gecko's Cool says that save versus Napoli led us to a Champions League win. Yep, absolutely. That I think it's so hard though, because you could really make a valid argument for Salah. You could really make a valid argument for Virgil. Yeah, just for me though, it's Alisson. But as I said, I am biased as a former keeper. So Sunil said, "Is Salah done?" No, he's not done. But I don't know, Sunil, if at the top level in Europe we'll ever see the numbers again that Mo put up for a consistent period of time. I do think, but see, this is where I kind of struggle a bit, Sunil, because I remember in the summer when we signed Isak, when we signed Ekatike, and we brought in Wirtz, I remember thinking to myself, good, this is what we should be doing. We should be planning to share them goals around, planning to make sure the burden isn't on Mo so much this season to score. And to a certain extent, I guess we're doing that, right? Ekatike is our top scorer this season. So, the goals are being shared around him. We haven't really got to see enough of Isak. So I don't know if finished is the word I would use. But I definitely feel like he's gone over his peak and maybe starting to come down the other side. I still think he has a lot to offer, but yeah, I don't think we'll ever see a 30-goal season from Mo again. Axelman said, "You know what? I've changed my mind. Becker is number one simply because of his epic hair and mustache. As good a reason as any, sir. As good a reason as any. Why not?" I hate Man City, but Arsenal finishing second again would be too funny, said Grizzly. It would. Look, you know my feelings on Man City, same as yourself. I can't stand them. But if Arsenal don't do it this year, and I think they will, by the way, but if they don't win the Prem this year, one, they got to fire Arteta, and two, they've got to get somebody in because they're cursed. Because, how many seconds can you have? It has to become a mental block at that point. Have they got to play each other again, Arsenal and Manchester City, this season, or have they played twice? I really don't remember, to be honest with you. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one, but I don't know, man. I don't know if City will be able to get them or not. But we know City have form for chasing teams down. Arsenal were always bound to have a little bit of a wobble, but for instance, if Arsenal get a winner there tonight, right at the death, that'll show you that they've still got a way through. Oh, they play at the Etihad. Oh, interesting. One more time, they play at the Etihad. That's going to be an interesting game. So here's the weird thing, right? So if I'm an Arsenal or Manchester City fan and that game's coming up, do you know what would worry the most about it for me? The appointment of the officials. If I was in Arsenal or Manchester City situation, the officials for that game would be very important to me as a fan. That for instance, if I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm not wanting Michael Oliver anywhere near that fixture. Nowhere near it. Not on VAR, not refereeing it. Nowhere near it. Because I think Michael Oliver is too sympathetic to Manchester City in his decision making. Peter, how are you, Peter? Said, saw Brentford Arsenal match. When they substituted Madueke, the away fans even copied it. Hugo Ekitike. Copy everything we do. Yep, they do. They've tried everything. They've tried the C Senor. Now look, I'm not saying Liverpool started C Senor. That started over in Argentina, but yeah, they're not very original, Peter. I'll give you that one. And this is the player that they wanted the club not to sign. Remember the petition? You know, cancel it. They also wanted them to, not get Gyökeres and go get Isak. And it's funny because let me just ask you this, Peter. Can you imagine if Liverpool fans put round a petition asking not to sign a player? You would never hear the end of it. It would quite literally be all they speak about on all these platforms over and over again. Because how long do we hear the Trent booing shit? Over and over again, yeah. Spurs getting booed, Arsenal getting booed, everybody getting booed all the time. But when Liverpool do it, all of a sudden, it's hold the books here. We have to really, really shine a light here on this. So, yeah, I can't imagine. I disown any Liverpool fan trying to start a poll. I would want nothing to do with that, or trying to start a petition, to stop a signing. I mean, Jesus, for the love of God, how cringe is that? Chad, I hate cheering for Arsenal, but Brentford is on our heels. Look, I feel comfortable we'll finish ahead of Brentford, come what may, Chad. But it makes me chuckle because I remember the other day when I said we were 7th and we were 6th by a technicality. The journos were very quick to jump on and say, well, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. Fair enough, I was wrong. If you want to be pedantic about it, or I was wrong. But if they were to win by a couple of goals tonight against Arsenal, that would have pushed us down. So, yeah, as Connor said in the podcast earlier, we're starting to put a bit of space now between the clubs behind us, which is good. When we played Newcastle, if we had have lost to Newcastle, they would have been level on points with us. But obviously we beat them and that put out that gap, and then they were beaten again after that. Everton, at one point when they were 1-0 up, were ahead of us in the live league table, which I sent a screenshot of that to Connor at the time thinking, nah. Whatever else, like being behind United's bad enough, but being behind the blue and white shite, no. There's no fucking way we can put up with that, like. League, Carabao Cup to go to Pens, and Man City to win. Yeah, I back City for the Carabao Cup, actually, and that one, Jaden, I do. I said that to Connor earlier on as well. I think they'll win that. I think Arsenal will win the Prem. But I'm unsure on the Champions League this year. Like, City may do. I think City could do the Champions League. Connor made a really good point. Like, let's say Arsenal build up a bit more of a lead on Man City in the Prem over the next month. Let's say they were to pull it out to 8 points. Then maybe Guardiola thinks, all right, we'll keep going in the Prem, obviously, but we'll really, really hone our focus in on the Champions League. Because we don't know what the situation is for Guardiola's future right now. Guardiola may leave at the end of this season, we don't know. So there could be a circumstance behind the scenes where he's telling his players, this is it for me, I'm off. And then they get that kind of whole thing that we had with Klopp, which is, let's do it one more time for Pep and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I'm intrigued to how the rest of the season does go. And I'm praying, of course, like everybody else. I say praying, I'm not a religious person. I'm hoping that Liverpool can pull a Paris Saint-Germain and just click at the right time and do something in the Champions League. But hope and expect are very different things, and I hope we can, but I'm not really expecting it. Arsenal dirty taking down Atara. Well, they stopped the counter-attack on Atara in the first half, which they got away with too easy for my liking as well. But we went through this the other day. I don't know if I still have the stats here. Let me go back through it. It was fouls per yellow card. We had the stats here the other day. Let me see if I can still find them. Yeah, here we go. So who gets punished the most for their fouls in the Premier League? and Arsenal were second to bottom. So Manchester United get punished the least. So they have to have the most fouls before they pick up a card at 7.6 on average. Then comes Arsenal with 7.4 fouls per yellow. At the top of the table will be Spurs. They only get away with 4.1 fouls per card. Chelsea second. Liverpool 12th. So we get away with 5.8 tackles. This is a credit to the Athletic, by the way. This is their data. But yeah, Arsenal, Manchester United, right down there at the bottom end, getting away with more than others for tackles. Now look, every tackle isn't the same. I'm aware of that. But, you know, I also think it kind of plays into what we were thinking, you know, that they do get away with a bit more. Adam, why you got to be that asshole, mate, in the chat? Fans are allowed to be hypocrites, mate. We're allowed to have opinions change. For instance, let me just explain this to you, Adam. So I've been on here and I've been giving Ibrahim KONATE a lot of criticism this season, right? But I didn't know his father was ill if he was, and I didn't know his father may be about to pass away. Had I known that, and had many other fans have known that, as an example, there's no way we would have gone in on him like that. But we had no understanding or no idea of a potential difficult situation at home. So all we were doing as fans was reacting to what we were seeing on the pitch, which was performances filled full of errors. But, you know, you need context, mate. You can't just come in and be a dickhead and go, oh, I'm better than everybody else. You know, oh, some fans, blah, blah. Fans, opinions change, dude. Opinions evolve all the time. And quite frankly, I'd be more worried if somebody didn't change their view and just stuck to their original point, despite evidence to the contrary. So you're no better than anybody else. Drop this I'm a super fan bullshit that seems to be just creeping in over and over again these days on platforms. Just admit we're all hypocrites, because we are. We're football fans. We're hypocrites every day of the week, mate. Whether it's wanting our team to get away with something and others to be punished for it, we're hypocrites. And I can say this wholeheartedly, and I think it's been borne out from my time on here when I know that personal issues have affected players. I wouldn't have opened my mouth about KONATE if I had to have any inkling that maybe he was going through something with his father or that there was something like that going on. I wouldn't have had a clue. You know, we knew obviously Diogo passed and that would have been impacting the players. We knew he had a contract situation that could be potentially distracting for him, but there's no way any of us knew about his father's situation or the potential for it, because I promise you I wouldn't have opened my mouth about it. Same way I wouldn't, you've heard me on here saying if players need extra time away, if players need time off, if they're grieving. So, yeah, just don't think there's no need for it, mate. You know, you're no better than anybody else, and I could pick your argument apart in 2-3 minutes easily if we were having a face-to-face conversation. But fans are allowed to have opinions that change, mate, over time. You know, because a decision has to be an informed decision. If the evidence changes, your opinion doesn't. You have an agenda. Exactly, Keane. Exactly. And that's the thing. So, for instance, if Arne Slot wins the Champions League, I've said there's no way the man should be sacked. Even though I don't like the style of football, you know. And even though right now I don't think we'll win the Champions League. But that's the way it is. And if you don't feel that, like Curtis Jones I use as a good example. Curtis Jones has been somebody that I thought was never going to be good enough for Liverpool Football Club. But then when Arne came in, he's probably the one player, maybe alongside Ryan Gravenberch, that I think he's progressed and brought on. And maybe the style of football is more suited to Arne's style of play. So my opinion there changed. My opinion changed over Ryan Gravenberch. When we were signing him, I wasn't sure what to expect. And I was dubious as to why Bayern Munich were letting him go. And we signed him, and I couldn't have been any further wrong. And very quickly was saying, wow, how wrong was I? And others, I mean, to look at the other side of the coin, loads of Liverpool fans gave Dominic Szoboszlai grief when they said that he just wasn't doing it, he wasn't good enough. And I thankfully wasn't one of them. I said, look, he's settling in, give him time, he'll get there. Same from Florian Wirtz. At the start of the season, lots of people were giving Verse grief, calling him a flop, but we knew the context of him coming in. We didn't know the context of KONATE. All I knew as a fan was that KONATE was wobbly, not himself, a bit up and down with his performances, and we wondered, was it to do with his contract situation? We didn't know. So all that we could do was judge accordingly. But I can just speak from my perspective. If I had known anything was wrong with his dad or potentially wrong with his father, you wouldn't have heard a peep from me, because I'm a human being, man, and I understand people have emotions and feelings. Excuse me. Grizzly said, if Saudi offers 100 million for Mo, do you take it and go all in to get a big name like Elise? Well, I don't think there's any chance they're offering 100 million. Even in his prime, but 1 year to go, 100 million would have been, well, it was there, but no, I don't think we get 100 million. The numbers that have been spoken about at the minute are somewhere between 30 to 50 million. They're the numbers that have been thrown out there recently. But, in a weird way, I don't even think it comes down to the money you get from. I think it comes down to, is it right? Is it right for him to stay or is it right for him to go? And that's a decision I believe him and his family should make. If Mo wants to stay and see out his contract at Liverpool Football Club and stay for that final year, we'll all welcome him in. If Mo feels like he wants a new chapter and he wants to head off somewhere else, then we talk about numbers. And, it's a tough one because there's not many comparables out there, really, is there? Of players at this age going for, decent money somewhere. So it's a tough one to figure out. Yeah. And I think from the club's perspective as well, the wages off the books would be a significant saving, which would allow them to invest anyway in other areas. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. I don't know what way this one goes, but for the first time, I do have a bit of a pit in my stomach to think he might go, but I'm not sure, like I said. Shano, how are you, bro? Said, hey Craig, hope all is well. I was thinking about you, and I'm sure you're talking about Radcliffe's comments. I'll get into it in a sec, but let me finish a comment. My club is in disrepute again after yesterday's interview. Radcliffe should resign. I feel like I'm going to talk about this, Shane, because he is a figure in football. So we always don't talk about politics on here, but he is a football figure. So I feel like I have a fair shout to discuss it. It is a disgrace. And you know that, and you've said that as much. And to be fair, most people think his comments were a disgrace. Now, I know that you've not been happy with Glinios, I think is what you call Glazers and Ineos. And as a United fan, that's absolutely your prerogative. But as a human being, I found the statement completely unnecessary, to be honest with you. Now, like I said, I don't know the numbers for immigration or the growth of the population in the United Kingdom. I'm Irish, I don't know. Same as your good self, mate. But if John W. Henry came out with that, and it was even about American life or American immigration, I'd be right there going, no, I'm sorry. So I agree with you. There's no way he will resign or, step away or sell his shares or whatever. But I do agree with you. And I was, very happy to see on back pages tonight on Sky last night that Miguel Delaney and John Cross were both also in agreement that it was just completely stupid comments. Like, it's, my gripe with him had always been the treatment of the United staff, first and foremost, the cost-cutting measures that he came in, getting rid of simple things like the 50 quid bonus for the best steward or steward of the week or whatever it was. They're the type of things that really just show a heartless individual to me. And for somebody that claims to be a Manchester United fan, I feel like speaking about a city like Manchester, that like Liverpool, has had the benefit of multiculturalism over the years. Yeah, just a statement that I think he could have absolutely avoided. And even the apology was pathetic, quite frankly. Craig, mate, nobody cares about what money we get from Mo. I think that's a bit of a silly question or silly statement. Like, nobody cares. Well, would you rather, if he moved on, you got £1 from or 50 million from? Come on, that's silly. Now, I get the context of what you're saying, and you're right, it will answer itself in time. Um, but I think it's a fair talking point right now because it's in the media. It's been doing the rounds over the last few days that um, Al-HILAL are trying to get him over there. And he absolutely deserves the right to make his own decision. But of course, people care about what you potentially get for a player. It's definitely not somebody you'd want to see walking out the door for nothing. Chad said, do you think we are going to bring back Costas next season? After watching our backs go down so many times, I don't think you can have enough. I hope not, because he's not good enough. Lovely fella, Costas, and anybody I know that's happened to bump into him or asking for a photo or ever always has time for them. Seems like a really lovely guy, but we can do better. And you're looking at a case then where he has 1 year to go in his contract anyway. So if you kept him for next season, you either renew, give him a new deal, or you lose him for nothing. So I think trying to get a transfer fee in the summer would be more beneficial personally. But I don't know what's going to happen with Robbo and what the situation is there. In an ideal world, I would have liked Robbo to sign a 1 year extension maybe and stay on. But again, that's down to Andy Robertson and his family to figure out. But yeah, no, look, I feel confident when Robertson's on there instead of Kirkes because he's proven. He's getting older, but he's proven his track record. Costas was always somebody who I've said I don't think will ever become the successor to Andy Robertson, and that's borne out to be the case. Hence the reason we went out and signed Milos Kirkes. So, yeah, for me, I think we should sell him. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Thank you. Right, don't forget, by the way, to enter our giveaway. February's competition is a signed Jurgen Klopp frame shirt, completely free. Scan the QR code below or use the link in the description for further details. Today, ladies and gents, we picked up the Conor Bradley painting from the framers. Let me show you a quick little look-see. One sec. There you go. So, there is the Conor Bradley painting. We picked it up from the framers today, ready to go into the office on the wall. Absolute masterpiece. Shout out to Wayne Henley, the artist who painted it. But yes, what are we saying? It's I can't wait. I cannot wait to have it. It's a beaut, and as I said, it's an original painting that we're very, very proud to be the custodians of. So yeah, I can't wait for that to go on the wall. But yeah, looking good and ready to go. Oh, it finished 1-1 in the Arsenal game. Wow. Title race is really on now. That'll yeah. You don't want to give Man City a sniff. And look, Brentford was always going to be a tough game away. I think historically when they've played each other, if I remember correctly, did they beat Arsenal in their very first game when they got promoted up to the Prem? So yeah, let's this one's going to be interesting. Better painting than Mona Lisa. It just felt like it was something we really had to try to make a push to try to get for the studio because Conor Bradley's from the same island as us here in Ireland, although he's a Northern Irish player, and that tackle on Mbappe. As soon as I seen the painting, I thought, oh lads, can we get this? Is there a way we can? And thankfully Wayne worked with us price wise to allow it to be within our budget. Because Wayne's a very distinguished painter, and his works have sold for a good bit more than we paid for that. But he worked with us, and he knew it was going to a good home. So, as I said, another shout out to Wayne Henley, and thank you, Wayne, if you're watching, mate, for making that possible. It truly couldn't have gone to a better home, mate. We will love that painting forever. Chad said Kelleher just saved the day. He's a great goalkeeper, Queeveen. He is. He's that's one decision the club made that I'll never be in agreement with. to allow him to go. I think we should have done everything we could to keep him. Love for reboot. Turned around so well. Fair play. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, mate, the real Johnny Sins hates. And I still don't know whether the situation with his father was an ongoing illness or whether it was a sudden passing. I really don't know. But if it was an illness and we had have known about it, look, every Liverpool fan I know would have backed off. Of course. You know? We can only make decisions on the information we have to hand. And all we'd seen was a player who was rocky at the start of the season, was making mistakes that he usually wouldn't make, and felt like he was distracted. Now, since, he's come back and he scored his goal against Newcastle, he was brilliant yesterday. And every single Liverpool fan account I know was full of praise for that defensive performance from both of them yesterday. So, yeah, people in the chat, like that gentleman earlier on, who just come in to just try to belittle all of us and others, it's just so unnecessary, so unnecessary. Right, now the chat's starting to fill up a little bit more as the Arsenal game's over, and I wanted to get into the conversation around Richard Hughes. This post from an account SPL, at Act2SPL, so at ACTUSPL, said, Richard Hughes is on the verge of becoming the new sporting director of AL-HILAL. And apparently this is a big publication or a big paper or something that posted this. So, thoughts on that possibility? The Calculator Kid had been linked a little bit in recent times with roles over in Saudi Pro League. And I think the Calculator Kid was linked with Ajax as well. But Richard Hughes... I'm kind of struggling with this one because we don't really know all that much about Richard Hughes. We've had him really operating for one transfer window that we were active in and negotiating the contract at the end of last season with the lads. So it's really difficult to know exactly what a loss he would be if he moved on. Now, he has a very good reputation in the industry and apparently fantastic contacts. So, yeah, I don't know. It would be weird if already he was moving on. It would be a worrying sign for me that either the owners aren't happy with how things are being ran beneath them, or that they aren't happy and maybe want to move away. Either way, it'll be an interesting one to see if there's any legs to it, because it's a big story. Big story. So let me know what you guys think about it. Yeah. We've... there's some questionable things at our club over the last few years that I can't get my head around. The contract situations, the way they're playing out. Yeah, this one is... This is an interesting, because I have no idea if there's any truth to it or not. It's a big claim to make, but like I said, I don't know whether it's true or not. Colin said if Hughes goes, it might see a return for Klopp. No, that would have to be Edwards probably going for that. But even at that, I don't think Klopp was going to come back in. I think we need to just forget about Jurgen in that sense of ever coming back in a role to the club. I don't think it's likely to happen, but yeah. On Richard Hughes, I mean, I don't even know how big a loss it would be if he did go. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way or a disrespectful way. I genuinely don't know, because we've had a small window of opportunity to really get to grips with him as Liverpool sporting director, and he did get some really big deals over the line in the summer, the likes of Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak. But at the other side of things, we've all been critical, and rightly so, of the real lack of squad depth for us this season. And, himself and Michael Edwards definitely play a role in that side of it as well. Oliver, thank you, mate, for gifting 10 memberships. Really kind of you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Craig, I don't know why you respect this Arsenal side so much. They're difficult to beat, and that's about it. They're nowhere near elite level. I'm confused why I wouldn't respect them. Like, respect is the key word there. Rate is a different word. I respect the club because they've gone about their business within the rules. And if they win the league, fair play. That's all I've ever said. I don't think they're the greatest team to watch by any stretch of the imagination. But they've been resolute defensively this season. They've been good from set pieces. And they've found a way to get themselves to the top of the table. But I don't think they're the greatest side to ever grace a football pitch or anything like it. I just think they've done things within the rules, and the sporting part of me feels like if they win the league, they deserve the acknowledgement and to be congratulated for it in the same way I expected us to be congratulated for it when we won it. City, different story, because, you know my take on Manchester City and how they were built. Which 4 Liverpool players would you have in a band, and with which instruments? Oh, God. Good question. I feel like we've got to have Alisson on guitar, right? Because we know he plays. So we've got to have Ali on guitar. I can imagine Hugo as a drummer. So I'm going to have Hugo Ekitike on drums. Alisson... Dom's got to be the lead singer, doesn't he? He's got to be the pretty boy lead singer. So we'll have Szoboszlai as the lead singer. Ekitike on drums. Alisson on guitar, and I could see Virgil playing bass. So yeah, Virgil's the bass player, Ekitike's on drums, Alisson's on guitar, and Szoboszlai's the lead singer. That's me band. Good question, though. Good question. Do you know what I'm surprised, though? I feel like, Jerome. I'm surprised at how quickly the answers came to me, and I was very happy with them. Because I could see Van Dijk giving it a bum, bum as a bass player. Definitely see Hugo on the drums. So yeah, I'm happy with that answer, but good shout, good question. So, we asked, do you think Ibrahima Konate signs a new deal at Liverpool Football Club? If you haven't voted on this one, please do. That's a good question. I feel like Jerome, fun. Please feel free to play along. David, how are you, my man? Always lovely to see you in. Hope you're well, sir. Thank you for dropping in. Appreciate you. Vert's on the keyboard. That's a good shout, That's a good shout, Splodge. I can see him on the keyboard all right. Yeah, a bit of German synthesizer music there from Vert's. Good shout. What else? Curtis on the piano. I feel like the piano would be more of a Mohamed Salah kind of instrument, a bit of grace, bit of technical ability. Yeah, maybe you think a bit more Mohamed Salah for the El Piano. Could definitely see Verts, though, as I feel like Jerome's saying there as a DJ. Can definitely see him in the El Bucca hat there, giving it socks all right. That's got to be up there at one of my favourite questions of the past month, Jerome. Really, really is. Robbo on vocals. Yes, good shout. Not a bad shout at all, that one. Paul, I can see Robbo on vocals all right, giving it the full kind of Liam Gallagher levels of attitude. Isak with a saxophone. Oh, good shout. Good shout. I tell you what, you're on the money. Yeah, Isak on a saxophone. Good shout. Isak's on the saxophone. Isak's, there you go. We're giving him a nickname as well. Just changed the last letter of his name to X. Boom. Kirkes on drums. That's another good shout, Shay. I'm going to stick with my Hugo Ekitike, but I tell you what, Kirkes is a damn good shout as well. He's got the energy, doesn't he? Because you want your drummer to have never-ending amounts of energy. So yeah, that's a really good shout. Oh my God, JJ Cliff, you said Craig, Hugo the Animal Ekitike. That's exactly what went in my head. I was thinking of Animal from the Muppets. As soon as you said it, I could... I mean, we're in sync, dude. We're in sync. Not NSYNC. That's a very different conversation. But boom. Right, so when we get this one done, I'm going to ask you in a poll about the Hughes situation. So we'll get this up to 1,500 votes. We need about 50 more votes on the Ibrahima Konate contract situation, and then we'll move it along to the Richard Hughes conversation. I should point out the preview for the Brighton game is coming out at 10:45 tonight. 10:45, the preview. It's already recorded, scheduled and ready to go. Some really, really good answers in here. I'd definitely be the lad just with the maracas, like, you know, that'll be just me, just shaking the maracas. No ability to actually have, but I want to roll in the band. Slot as the lip syncer because he's a fraud. No, be nice. Be nice. It's funny, but be nice. When's the podcast out? I think it's on Spotify already, if I'm not mistaken. So these days we just put the full podcast on Spotify, and we put clips up on the YouTube channel. So I think it's out on Spotify already, if I'm not mistaken. Endo and the didgeridoo. Endo could do anything. Didgeridoo. Well, would he be able to have the gum shield in playing the didgeridoo? Just joined in here. Kirk is on drums. What's going on? John, just somebody asked a really good question. I feel like Jerome said, and feel free to play along in the comments. Which 4 Liverpool players would you have in a band, and which instruments would they play? And my band was, I had Virgil on bass guitar, I had Dominic Soboslai on lead vocals, Alison on lead guitar, and Hugo Ekitike on the drums. So that was my band. Now, I need a name for my band. So give us a name for this 4 Liverpool player band. Who got the best idea for a name? Right, we only have 10 more votes to go, and then we'll get to the Richard Hughes question. So we need a name for this band. And something as off the wall as possible with the name, like something... Anarchy Agenda. Boom. I love a bit of anarchy. Yes. Red Alert. Mersey Boys. I mean, Mersey Boys keeping it simple. Right, so 57%. Keep going, by the way, with the name. Spice Boys Part 2. Oh, no. Part 1 was bad enough, dude. Part 1 was bad enough. Right, so 57% of people think that we will see KONATE sign a new deal, and the other 43 don't. But you do keep the low block. Oh, Paul, I love that. I fucking love that. The low block. What a name. Oh, I've got one for you. The new kids on the low block. There you go. The new kids on the low block. There you go. What a name. What a name. The new kids on the low block. There you go. Just getting this poll typed out, and then I'll get back to some more of your brilliant answers. 1 second. Okay, so do you think Richard Hughes leaves to join AL-HILAL? Is the question that I'm asking in this poll. So we'll get back and check on that one in a little bit, but let's see some of the names. What about Saxlaw? No, we're trying to have a bit of fun this evening. There's plenty of time for seriousness. The low block is just, honestly, I can't remember who it was initially that said the low block, but that's chef's kiss stuff, that is. Oliver said, you and Connor are my rock these days. Love you, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. And I know Connor will as well, Oliver. Thank you so much, bro. 25 months with us as well as a member. Really do appreciate all of your support, mate. Low block, what a name. Craig Arner definitely counts as stoppage time towards the 80 minutes when he puts them on. Yeah. Deacon Pool's a good name as well. That's a good name. Who was that? The Etho. Deacon Pool. I like it. Modest Scouse. That's another belter of a name. I tell you what, if I ever start a band, you guys are naming it because you're on the money here. Where's the melody, John? Oh, yes, Barry, yes. Where's the melody, John? Huh? Where is it? Come on. You'll never rock alone. Oh, my days, lads. You need to be on this side of the microphone. Come on. That's class. The Ibiza Boys. Boomtown Cops. Another good name. No, I think the Low Block is definitely my favourite so far. I'm a bit of a boy band person, so I said New Kids on the Low Block. But New Block or Low Block, that's perfect. Right, so don't forget to vote in our poll on Richard Hughes, by the way. And if you're wondering why, well, there's been a report today coming out of or at Ridia, or I don't know how you pronounce the name of this. It's at AOR-IYADHIAH. I believe is a publication, a newspaper in Saudi Arabia, and they said Richard Hughes is on the verge of becoming the new sporting director at Al-HILAL. And I'm basically just asking, do you believe it? Because I don't have any information on it. Now, while we're speaking about Al-HILAL, Darwin Núñez and Pablo Mari are both out of Al-HILAL's squad list for the Saudi Pro League. Following Benzema's arrival, Darwin Núñez will now only be available for the Asian Champions League and not the domestic league games. So, basically he's getting paid, I don't know how much he's getting paid, 300-400 grand a week to go to the gym. I mean, not too shabby if you can get that kind of money, but from a footballing perspective, again, it's not really gone to plan. I know there was some talk of him going on loan to the likes of Fenerbahce or something at one point that didn't pan out, but yeah, that's not great for him, is it? Darwin over there and not even getting into the league squad. The threadbare back four, the Windy Boys. Itachi, how are you, my friend? Love to be here. Always an entertaining evening. Keep spreading positivity. Next season restart. Thank you. I've made a conscious effort over the last couple of days to just try to keep my own feelings about Slot to a minimum when I'm talking on here, because nobody needs me piling on more and more. You know where I'm at, and if my opinion changes, I'll definitely let you know. But for right now, I don't think he's the guy. But I want Liverpool to do well, and I don't want to add into more negativity. Now, if we lose and have poor results, I'll be on here talking honestly like I always do. But, last night was probably one of the first nights I've gone to bed happy with a Liverpool performance this season. And not just because we won the game, but just happy in general. Because we could have scored a lot more. We created a fair amount. We wasted a lot of shots, obviously. But I felt like little things were starting to seem a little bit better. Defensively, we kept a clean sheet, but there was moments. There was moments where that, could have gone a different way. But I'm really, really liking the growing impact that Florian Wirtz is having in the final third and how a lot of our good stuff's going through him. So don't take my silence as thinking that I think everything's okay, because I don't. I just don't want to. I don't want to keep, being a negative influence every night on people and grinding them down, because we all come on to have a bit of a laugh and, de-stress. Gakpo on the triangle. Maybe, Mike, maybe. Nothing wrong with a bit of triangle. We all learned it in school. Talking Reds, Biggie Mall, that's a good shout as well. There's been some belter suggestions in the chat for band names. Good mindset, my friend. 100% agree. It will come good with or without our manager. It is what it is, There's no... Whatever happens now, it looks like he's here for the season. We went through the fixtures that we have coming up in the Premier League, and this is going to be a telling period of time. Our next 4 games in the Premier League are against 4 of the bottom 5 teams. We've got Nottingham Forest away, and I know that Vitor Pereira is about to come in there as their new head coach after they sacked Dyche. Then we've got West Ham at home, Wolves away, and Spurs at home. So you're surely looking at 10 to 12 points from that. And if we do that, I think we will cement ourselves inside the top 4 or 5. But we got to do it. We got to do it. It's no good talking about it because we've gone through what we would have classed as an easy run previously and it didn't exactly go glowingly. So if they can get through these 4 games with 10, 12 points, then we're in a good position. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Very kind of you. And, means a lot because it's been a tough while for me on here personally as well lately. A lot of missiles coming my way from other directions and stuff, but I always have appreciated the support I've had on here from all of you guys. It means the world. So, remember unnamed male 28 from Barnet? Remember those stories? Well, today, Telegraph Football have said Thomas Partey, the former Arsenal midfielder, has been charged with 2 new counts of rape. Now, Arsenal fans were very quick to jump on social media to talk about the fact that he plays for Villarreal now. But let's not forget Arteta speaking positively about this situation. Now, to go back to what Johnny said earlier on, the real Johnny Sins about Arsenal, that is one part of Arsenal, mate, that I don't respect. The fact that there wasn't enough talk about that toe rag. Now, again, he's been charged, which doesn't mean he's guilty. He's got to go through process, but again, this was one of those situations that everybody had to pretend that we didn't kind of know what the accusations were. And now, a further 2 counts, with further counts, it said, excuse me. It says, Thomas Partey, the former Arsenal midfielder, has been charged with 2 new counts of rape. Oh, my days. GKs. Kraftwerks. Oh, that is just outstanding, my friend. Outstanding. Kraftwerks is that's brilliant, mate. That is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, what a name, man. Well in. That's brilliant. Kraftwerks. Love it. Itachi said, I'm so upbeat. We have Isak ready and fit for next season. Him, Hugo, and Florian will click by that time. We're going to be a pleasure to watch. I hope we are, my man, because I really, like you, I believe in those players. That's a brilliant name, though. Kraftwerks. I mean, honestly, mate, take a bow. That's class. Oliver said, Anfield Agenda is my therapy and I'm loving it. It makes me smile. Times are a little tough in my neck of the woods in the USA at the minute, and everybody here is my family away from home. Thank you all for the members for an awesome channel. Oh, mate, thank you. That's so nice of you. I'm sorry to hear, obviously, things are difficult over in your neck of the woods at the minute. But we really appreciate you being here with us, Oliver. Thank you, man. That really, really is kind of you, bro. Love right back to you. And I'm glad that you find a bit of escapism in the channel. I know I certainly do as well when I come on. Tonight is the type of night that I actually enjoy. I enjoy when we have a quieter evening and we can have a proper good chat and there's less trolls in and we can have a bit of fun and that. I mean, where else are you going to get the questions about the Liverpool band members and stuff? I mean, brilliant. Any Gakpo names is too predictable. I like that as well. Well played. Sobel Slipknot. That's a little bit on the wordy side, I think. A little bit on the longer side. But honestly, yeah. Kraftwerks and the low block. The low block's definitely the one I think I'd go with because it's just simple and to the point. But Kraftwerks is very, very clever. So we do have a poll running, by the way. And the question that we're asking is, do you think that Richard Hughes leaves to join AL-HILAL as has been reported in a newspaper over in Saudi? So let's talk for a second about Mr. Florian Wirtz of Kraftwerks. Florian Wirtz has created 66 chances from open play this season, with only 3 players above this tally among the top 5 leagues in all competitions. Lamine Yamal with 80, Kylian Mbappe with 79, and Michael Olise with 68. So, yes, again, proof there that our boy is getting better and better and better. Alan said, what's the news on KONATE? Only just got home. No problem, mate. I'll run back through it for you. I wouldn't really say it's news as such as there may be a bit of hope. Let me read through 2 things for you, mate, and then we'll go through it in more detail. So, Virgil van Dijk wants Ibrahim Konate to stay, and this is what he had to say. It's a process, and let's see what comes out of it. Obviously, I want him to stay. He's an important figure on the pitch. That's what everybody sees. But off the pitch as well, he's one of the leaders. He's outstanding, and in my eyes, a world-class centre-back. I can only do so much, but if it's in the club's hands, together with his agents and himself, so let's see what comes out of it. But I have no influence otherwise on that. This line, though, is one that I find very interesting about Virgil's own contract situation. He said, it was not my decision to leave my contract that late, but it is what it is. There's always hope for Konate staying. And then there's a quote attributed to James Pearce that said, the Anfield hierarchy haven't given up hope of Konate signing an extension, and they point to how Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah didn't agree fresh terms until April last season. So, I don't know if maybe hope springs eternal here, or, you know, maybe if, I don't know. For me, it just, it's worrying that Virgil said that it wasn't his choice to let his contract negotiations go that long. That worries me, because, again, is this an intentional tactic from the club? The low block street boys. There we go. Or new kids on the low block, as I said earlier on as well. Tonight at 8 p.m, live, the low block. I mean, I'd buy a ticket, Itachi. I mean, I'd buy a ticket, bro. Craig O'Clock Dan, how are you, mate? Said, another one from the US that appreciates you giving us such positive escape. Thank you for all that you do. Oh, honestly, dude, it's a pleasure. Pleasure. It's, you know, whatever fun and joy you guys get from it, I'm the same on this end of the microphone, I can promise you. Allison gave that late pen away because he also wants Arsenal to bottle this league. We love you, Ali. It would, I mean, it will be the banter of all banter if they don't win the league now. It like, there's no excuse in this one. If they don't see it out from here. Slipslot. I like that one as well. Slipslot's a nice play, and Slipknot, well played. It's been some really, really good names in the chat. On the Beach Boys. There's another one I just thought of. The On the Beach Boys. At the end of the season last season when we'd won the league title. Back pass boys. But so do we think Arsenal see it out, or do we think that Man City get them back in? Still think, you know, Arsenal are strong favourites, but 4 points, that's not a lot when you've got to play Man City as well. You know, Arsenal are probably one draw away from a real panic there now if Man City can keep on winning. You know, if Arsenal drop any more points and Man City keep winning, they know if they beat them at the Etihad, it's in their own hands. So really, the pressure is on those shoulders right now at Arsenal. And, you know, I watched something last night where they spoke about the fact that going away from home will probably be a good thing for Arsenal, because there was a lot of nervous energy creeping into the Etihad, into the Emirates. And I can imagine that nervous energy is only going to increase now that they've dropped more points and the title race is getting a little bit more squeaky bum. Carry us to glory. I mean, it's a great pun, but I don't think any Liverpool band's going to be named after Lawrence Carrius now. But it is a good name. It's in Arteta's DNA to bottle it, said Billy. Well, look, would you agree with me on this statement? If he doesn't win the Premier League or the Champions League this season, Arteta's got to be fired. And I've said this for a very long time. You're either a big club or you're not. And if you're a big club and you're constantly second, and still haven't won the European Cup, and you spent what they have. Because remember, net spend-wise, they had a bigger net spend than us this summer. So, situation. I think he's got to be fired. If he doesn't win the Prem of the Champions League, he should be fired. Could City win the title but lose to FFP with their spending? 345 million only Bob was sold. I don't know Manchester City's financials for the last few years. I stopped paying attention, really, because my gripe and the big problem with Manchester City isn't so much what they're making now. It's how they got to the stage that they're making the money now. So how they were able to front load and bring in the talent that they did when they clearly didn't seem to have the financial means within the rules to do it, apart from having really rich owners. So that's my gripe with City. And the thing I've always warned about is that they drag it out so long that we forget that. We assume and think about them as this modern day club that are winning things at the top of English football. But it's how they got there that's always been the question. Has this been built on foundations of sand? And if so, like I keep saying, it is the biggest scandal in British football, certainly in my lifetime, and maybe ever. So, yeah, it's huge. It's huge what happens with them. Itachi said, because tonight is funny, poll for the title, Arsenal, City or us. We don't have time for another poll tonight. Remind me to do it tomorrow and I will happily do it for you. But we've only got about 15 minutes or so left on tonight's stream. But thank you, Itachi. Appreciate you. Slot and Pepper, said James. Delia. Or Delia, sorry, James. Is it Delia? Delia? I know you've told me this before, mate, so apologies. Fleetwood Mac and the Notorious VVD. Boom. But we're kind of shoehorning two different genres together there as well. I don't know why, but in my head now I have Because the Night Belongs to Lovers. I don't know why, but that's in my head all of a sudden. If it wasn't for Lego Head, I'd be okay with Arsenal winning it, but I can't do it with him. Yeah, he's not a very likeable dude, is he? And I'm going all the way back to his playing days, He just, he's a very easy fella to dislike, I have to say. Hurry said, Craig, do you think we will make a top 4? Well, I think we can safely talk about it as top 5 now, because the coefficient of the English teams, with so many of them going through, and I think it was there 5 English teams in the top 8 of the Champions League format. So I think, it will be top 5 that will get Champions League football next season. And do I think that will do it? Yes, I do. I feel a bit more comfortable about it now. If we had a loss last night, I would have really, really, really been concerned, because then you're talking about having to make up 5-6 point deficits. Now it's 2 points to Chelsea, 3 points to United. And the United bounce was bound to slow down. So they've won 4, drawn 1. What happens next for them? How do they react now going forward? Is this the end of the new manager bounce or the interim manager bounce? Or, do they continue to pick up points? Chelsea have been inconsistent all year. So what happens there? Again, they have a new coach in. Is the new manager bounce going to stop for them? So yeah, I feel like we will be there. But again, I want to reiterate, this season should have been about more than that. But we know Champions League football is important, so yeah, let's hope we do. But we went through this earlier on. Our fixtures are certainly friendly enough. Next 4 Premier League games: Nottingham Forest away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Spurs at home. So, you'd want to be getting some points from those games, and 10 to 12. If you can do that, I think we're pretty much good to go then. Who are we playing next? On Saturday, we play Brighton in the FA Cup. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff. Then the next league game is 8 days later. We take on Nottingham Forest away in a 2 p.m. kickoff. And they'll have a new coach at that point because they've sacked Sean Dyche and Vitor Pereira is about to take over. In an alternate universe, would you take Pep as manager? Yes, absolutely. If Pep hadn't gone near Manchester City and had have gone Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, of course. How could you not? Pep's a football genius. So yeah, in an alternate universe, absolutely. But would I have swapped him for Kloppo? No, I wouldn't. They would have both been incredible, but yeah, Kloppo was. I think Kloppo was just the right man in the right moment for the right people. Feeling both Liverpool and Brentford could possibly catch Chelsea, said Andy Chilton. Wow. Look, the job Keith Andrews has done with Brentford, I mean, really, really impressive. You know, a lot of us were talking about them maybe potentially having a relegation fight this season. You know, lost players again and continue to lose them. Every year they're down one or two of their top players. And they've managed to have an incredibly good season, and Keith Andrews deserves a lot of plaudits, as does the entire Brentford ownership group. You know, it's just one clever decision after another with them, and they're a very, very well run football club. Forest have already gone through 3 coaches this season. Yeah, this is their fourth. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, their owner is certainly volatile. Is this probably fair to say? A little nervy now. Remember our last run of easy fixtures. That's what I'm saying, Aaron. If we don't do it here, we're in trouble. Because May looks bad for us. Like, that is a tough run into May. So we've got to pick up points from this run. If we can pick up, let's say for instance, we got a perfect 12 from these next 4 games, I would say that will safely push us back up into the fourth position, maybe fifth, but it certainly put us in there. I would even say maybe with a little bit of breathing room, because I would expect points to be dropped by Chelsea and Manchester United over the next 4 games. So yeah, I think worst case scenario for us, we 10 points would be okay, but anything less than that, and I think we're still in trouble. So you're right in what you said, but last night went a long way to it. You know, last night was a really big result for us, and it just felt like there was a bit of steeliness about the players last night. I just know Jota will be starting left wing at the moment. You know what? He could well be. He could, or maybe even Ekatike pushed out to the left and him through the centre. Maybe he certainly would have been utilised. We know that of him. You know, always chipped in. Still can't believe, you know, even just watching clips back, his title celebrations last year. I just still can't believe he's no longer with us. Like, it still feels surreal. Jennifer, how are you, Jennifer? Said, what's the FA Cup team going to be? Right, I'll really quickly run you through mine, Jennifer, because the preview's coming out in 10 minutes, and I would love you to watch it, but I'll give you my predicted 11 just there, so you can let me know your thoughts. So I think he'll probably go with Georgie in goal to give him the cups. Then I've gone for Gomez at right back, KONATE, Virgil, Kirkes, Jones, Soboslai, Wirtz, Chiesa, Ekatike, Salah. That's the team I think he could put out. You know, I would make more changes again. You could arguably put in Rio Ngamoa for minutes. You could do a lot of other things, but I'm trying to be realistic with the team selections that I put up. So yeah, that was mine. Like I said, would be more than happy to see Rio get the game. Would be more than happy to see Ekatike maybe come in at 55, 60 if needs be, because we do have to keep an eye on his workload as well. But I think the saving grace might be that we've 8 days between that game and our next game. So, you know, we do have time to recover. Why you want to keep this mediocre defender? Because I don't think he is mediocre, to be fair. I think he's definitely had lots of wobbles this season. But when KONATE is right and with his head straight, he can be a very good centre back, and he's a Liverpool player. So, you know, think about it this way: if he goes off, we're going to have to go out into the market and find maybe 2 centre backs this summer, Whereas if they found a contract extension with KONATE and he stayed, you've got KONATE, one more season of Virgil, Giovanni Leone, Jeremy Jacquet coming in, and then maybe we add one more and move on Joe Gomez. But why wouldn't you? You know, he's been a mainstay of our team over the last few years, and we've won stuff. Now, like I said, he's been shaky this season, no denying it, and I don't think he's worth 300 grand a week, 250 grand a week, anything like that. But preference has always been I'd prefer if they could agree a deal and he stayed. Or LFC said we really need to win on Saturday. Cannot miss out on another trophy chance. Well, we're at home as well. We're at home as well, so there really is just no excuse, you know? You want us to be winning games at home, and yeah, this is a chance. We're at home against Brighton, a team that, you know, usually come and play, not going to sit back with a low block, so should be a type of game we can get stuck into and enjoy. Harry said KONATE has it in him. He was class last season. I agree, Craig. Can't give this up with too many changes. Oh, definitely can't give it up, Jennifer. No, definitely can't. And the fact that we have that 8 days to rest afterwards is kind of a bit of a saving grace in this one, that I think you can afford to go strong. And remember, there's no VAR either this weekend, so we want a VAR to be thinking about, which is nice. I'm happy that there's no VAR. I say that now, touch wood. I haven't jinxed us. Could Isak be back for the end of the season? Yes, absolutely. Be surprised if he wasn't, to be fair. Yeah, I think you probably see Isak at some point next month. If Georgie ain't it, who would you like to pursue? I would have loved to have heard we had a buyback option in Kelleher's contract, to be honest. Now, I don't think there is, but do you know, hand on heart, I haven't really kept tabs on up-and-coming keepers or keepers in their early to mid-20s around Europe, so I, you know, probably haven't done enough research to give you a valid answer. So, yeah, sorry. Kind of do have eggs in that Georgie Mamadashvili basket, but I still have regret that we don't have a buyback option for Queeveen. The art of shutting out the noise. Good shout, Paul. Good shout, mate. Well played. Why do we always play worse when we have a week between games? I don't know if statistically there's anything to back that up, but I feel the same as you do. That whenever we have 8 days, we seem to go out of rhythm or something. Or whenever we have a mid-season break and we go for some warm weather training, I always remember us being poor afterwards. So, yeah, I don't know the answer. I don't know if the stats back up what we both feel, but I certainly am in there with you and thinking that when we've got a long time between games, we're usually, like Man City, we had longer to prepare for that game than them, and we lost it at the end. Kelleher was much better with his feet than Mamadashvili. He was, but it's weird because if you look at Manchester City, Jennifer, and like they went completely the other way goalkeeper wise. So obviously they went for Ederson, who was decent as a shot stopper, but really good with the ball at his feet, to going for Donnarumma, who's a really good shot stopper, amazingly not great under the high ball for such a tall keeper, and definitely hasn't got the same ability with the ball at his feet. So is the goalkeeping position shifting back a little bit maybe towards distribution as not being the be-all and end-all, and maybe stature, size and presence and ability to claim your area becoming more important? Raz said Arsenal bottling the league incoming. It's going to be interesting, mate. It is. It's going to be an interesting last few months of the season now. What is it, 4 points between them and Man City? And Man City, you know, after bringing in Semenyo, who can't stop scoring, Mark Gay, it's yeah, if I was an Arsenal fan, that result tonight would definitely be making me feel a little bit nervy. So, we asked, do you think Richard Hughes leaves to join AL-HILAL? If you can, please vote on this one, because I really love to know what your take is on this situation. I don't know whether to believe that story or whether it's absolute nonsense, but I'd love some clarification on it one way or the other. So, it'd be nice if a David Ornstein or somebody came out and said there's either nothing to this story or there is. It's the freedom for some of these people to just print whatever they want and then not have to justify it that annoys me. So let's wait and see. Jacob said, to be honest, I still think top 4 is possible if we keep winning. Of course, you're absolutely right, Jacob. We're only 2 points off 5th place and 3 points off 4th. And 5th will get you Champions League football. Dare I say it, mate, if you really went on a run, Villa could be in your sights depending on how they get on. They've been a little bit, after that incredible run they went on, they've had a little bit of a wobble. So they had a bit of a nervy victory as well, 1-0 I think against Brighton. So if you really, really discovered your form, you might even be able to get 3rd place in. But look, as I said, 4th or 5th would certainly be the bare minimum that we need for making sure we're in the Champions League again next year. How long is Frimpong out for? Not sure. Not sure, Raz. Tried to find out today, mate. Couldn't get much more info on it. Don't really know how close he is or isn't. Yeah. Sorry, don't know. I wish I did, because we've got Gomez back now, and I feel like we're in this recurring theme of just about having one person able to play the right back position before another injury comes in. Harry said, Wirtz could have 10 plus assists if our wingers could finish properly and make good plays. He could. We ran through a stat earlier on that showed that he's got the 5th highest chance creation in Europe, I think it is. Florian Wirtz has created 66 chances from open play this season, with only 3 players above his tally. Among the top 5 European leagues in all competitions, Jamal Mbappe and Michael Olise. League Gunner is fuming. I don't blame him. I really don't, because that's the type of game you would want your league champions elect to be going and winning, especially when you play last. And I don't blame Lee. I'll send Lee a message later on when he's calmed down a bit, when he's finished work as well. I always exchange messages with Lee after both of our games, so I'll certainly be in touch with him later on. Is it just me, or has Maka had enough? It's not been a great season from Mark. It hasn't. And there was some talk the other day, there was comments from his father, vaguely talking of the potential move in the future. I say vaguely because he was talking to an Argentinian outlet, I think Win All Sports, if my memory's right. And yeah, look, I thought he was okay last night, for what it's worth, but definitely hasn't been his best season in a Liverpool shirt. Right. We have 160 odd votes to go to get to 1,000 votes on this one. It doesn't look like we're going to get there, so I'm going to start to wind down the stream, because the preview is coming out in the next minute for everybody for the Brighton game. So if you do get a chance, have a little watch of it. Let me know your thoughts of it. Tomorrow, Connor, I think, will have a video out in the morning. I'll be here tomorrow afternoon for the late evening agenda video, and then we'll have the late night agenda tomorrow. A reminder as well, don't forget to enter a giveaway. That's not it. Don't forget to enter a giveaway to win a signed Jurgen Klopp frame shirt. Completely free. Scan the QR code below, or use the link in the description for further details. And you can also treat yourself to 20% off everything at thecollectorscorner.co.uk, who are giving us one prize every month to give away. You can get yourself 20% off anything at thecollectorscorner.co.uk with our discount code Anfield Agenda 1. Right, ladies and gents, it's been a fun one tonight. Thank you for coming in, keeping me company and having a chat with me. And we'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.